Right, welcome everybody to another episode of Chris and Dave's Reality Cast. I am one of your hosts, Chris Phelps. My co-host and very good friend is Mr. Dave Horrocks.
Hey there, Chris, and hello to our listeners out there. Welcome to Chris and Dave's Reality TV Cast. We are covering Ultimatum Season 1, Episodes 1 through to 4. Now, Chris, I had a little bit of a lull, I feel. Like, you know, in Love is Blind Season 2, didn't enjoy it that much, but got to tell you, kind of loving this series.
Yeah, this is a different level, this series, Dave. And Nick and Vanessa Lachey are back, Dave. So
yeah,
Netflix's resident reality TV presenters are back hosting this fresh off the Shake-led reunion from Love is Blind. I'm not sure when any of this was filmed, but yeah, I'm really, really excited about this one. It's a different concept. It's made by the same people who do Temptation Island, Love is Blind, stuff like that. So it's all in our wheelhouse, really. And it is pretty close to a Love is Blind type thing. The concept is you've got these couples, they're all together, and they all get put in houses, the men and women, and basically they go on dates and they can pick which one they want to connect with, don't they? But to split up, the actual judges make that decision as well. So it's a very similar format, but in the same respects, I think they've got the casting absolutely perfect on this series.
I think the format of this, coupled with the fact that people don't know what the rules are, they don't know the game. With Love is Blind, you go in there as a single person, and then, you know, you connect with someone, but there's no baggage with you at all. For me, this is more like sort of Temptation Island / Single Town, where they're so-called, you know, single in inverted quotes, and they're supposed to go off, you know, and couple up with someone else. But there's still, obviously, the stakes are there because they're not really single. They have got their partner there. But unlike Temptation Island and Singletown, where they only see these little snippets and have a clue, you know, what's going on the other side of the fence or the other side of the hall or whatever, they're all just there dating around the pool and stuff.
Yeah, it's fucking weird.
Literally chatting up someone while, you know, their future wife or you know, future husband or whatever is sat across the pool. Chris, this is brilliant.
It's fucking ace.
I love it.
I'm the same as you because they're having conversations. So say the guys around the table, the guy who's, say, you know, for example, you've got Jake, and Jake gets with Ray, I think it is, and she's with a guy called Zay. Fucking names are amazing, Zay. And they're chatting. So Jake's talking about Ray to her boyfriend, and it's like, and they're all around the table, and I find it fascinating because it's not like they hide anything away. And I think the girls are a lot more open than the guys. But yeah, anyway, we'll get into that. But the concept of the show is brilliant. So Dave, I've got a quick rundown of all the contestants. I know.
Yeah. So if we go through the contestants first, and then like I say, we're not going to recap all 4 episodes, but just pick out some highlights. So I think if we at least align ourselves with who's who first, and then we'll take it from there.
Okay, so we've got first couple is Alexis and Hunter. She's 25. Oh shit, and he's 28. Sorry, I've got something in my throat. Sorry about that.
We have just reviewed on the VHS Strikes Back, right, The Room, and the writer Tommy Wiseau and his mate Greg Sestero. Greg Sestero, when they meet, he's about 19 or something. Tommy Wiseau is clearly north of 40 at the time, but he's parading himself around like he's some college kid. Fucking hell, it's obvious. Now, I'm not saying it's quite as obvious as that, but yeah, I see where you're coming from, Chris.
Right, so the next couple, I'm such a wanker, aren't I? The next couple is April and Jake. She's 23, he's 26. So there's one couple. Then we've got Lauren and Nate. I've got plenty to say.
Hold on. So April and Jake, right? So the person giving the ultimatum was April.
Yeah.
She's 23. Right. And I think this is the other thing, isn't it? This is in Texas, so I don't know if time moves a bit differently. I've never been to Texas myself. Would hopefully go there one day. But to be honest, Chris, at 23, she's desperate for that ring on her finger. Get settled down, get married with kids and everything. And I kind of want to shake her and say, look, you're 23. It's okay. You've got time. But she is in a rush, isn't she? And he's like a year out of the military. So he's obviously probably left there from school or something, left at 25. He's just out. He's just got his freedom. So I can kind of see why they're maybe on different time scales there.
Yeah, very true, very true. Oh, Dave, I can't wait to talk about this. So the next couple is Lauren and Nate. Nate's the one who's given the ultimatum. They've been together 2.5 years. Lauren, lovely girl. He wants kids, the whole thing. She's not sure. And the VT stuff, Nate, for me, come across really well, I thought. And they both did. They just looked like there's a bit of a lack of communication. So I wasn't sure. They're both 30. I wasn't sure how this would play out, Dave. But my word, does it play out, my friend? So the next couple, and I've got a problem with it, there's another one, is Madeline and Colby. Now, Madeline's the one who's, she's 24, Colby's 25. He's given the ultimatum. She seems to want this sort of party life, doesn't see a problem with having an open relationship, Dave. So interesting contestant straight again. So another one I want to talk about. So yeah. Then we've got Ray and Zay. Sorry for the name, guys. These are genuine names. Ray's 24.
Why are you apologizing for their names?
I just think it's great. The names. Because we've got Ray, Zay, Jay. They're all rhyme. It's brilliant. Because I've just confused myself. I'll probably say that Ray's with someone else, Dave, and get the names wrong. So apologies, guy. Anyway. So they're together. So Ray's the one who's given the ultimatum to Zay. She wants the family. She wants the whole thing. Been together 2.5 years. That's why they're on the show. Then the last couple is Shanique and Randall, Dave. So Shanique's 24. She's given Randall like the ultimatum again. Want to be together, get him out of debt, all this sort of thing. Again, I mean, you've questioned this before. The first thing you're going to do to bridge your relationship, get better, go on a reality TV show, obviously, yeah. Dave.
Seems like the obvious choice, doesn't it? I don't know. I guess, Chris, every year there is a batch of young people who probably haven't watched this shit. Yeah. They're not grizzled old veterans like we are now, whereas you're just cynical as fuck. And you're like, oh, this is going to go badly. I hope so anyway. But yeah, I mean, it's good. I mean, a lot of the first episode was spent kind of getting to know the couples. Usually there's someone who wants to settle down, get married and everything. Someone else is on a different time plan to that. And, but when it starts with the whole dating and like say, they're all around the pool or in the bar and stuff, and it is so buttock clenchingly cringe, some of it, when these conversations are going on and the other person can hear and what have you. I just thought it was fantastic.
I loved it. And one of the standouts for me, Dave, in these first few episodes was Alexis. They do the VT
I
with
know
her.
what you're going to say.
Yeah,
Go on.
do the VT with her. She's like, we're either engaged or we're over. I want a ring. And then she says, well, marriage is a financial decision for me. If he isn't earning enough money, I'm going to walk away. Of course you're going to do that, because in real life, we can all pick our partners. And if they're not earning millions, so we don't have to fucking work, you can just walk away from that relationship. And I was like, Nate, there is red flags literally in front of your face, you dick. Get the fuck out of it. Like, he seemed like such a lovely guy. And she, Dave, fucking high maintenance isn't even.
Are you on about Nate or Hunter?
Oh, Hunter, sorry. Oh, yeah, sorry. I've got Nate on my mind. I want to talk about Nate. Sorry, Hunter. Hunter seemed like such a lovely guy, Dave, and I was thinking...
Well, he did, right up until, the recoupling and whatever. But, I mean, Alexis, she was, again, reality TV gold, and, again, we'll spoil things, but unfortunately, she's left the show by the time we've got to episode 3, I think it was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And it's the way that... Yeah, I mean, come on, Chris. Gold digger must be one of the first phrases that you can kind of think of when she's giving it the whole thing about, the finances and whatever. But for the purposes of this, she's so cocksure about herself and the fact that she is 25 apparently, and according to her, she looks just like Madeline, who is actually 25. And she goes after Colby. And no, I don't like this Colby. I think he's a bit of a tool. But there is a moment where she's going after him. And she's asking the question, well, why are you not interested? Well, sometimes, Chris, you just don't ask questions that you don't want the answer to. And it's like, well, I just don't find you attractive. Well, from that point on, Alexis was just convinced Colby was an absolute dick.
Loved it. Loved it.
Oh, it's fantastic. So at this point, I must admit, I was thinking, Colby, yeah, I like him. He sort of tells it how it is, but unfortunately, that he takes it too far for me later on. But yeah, I did like the way he put Alexis down, and she was just having none of it. Just looked from that point to just sabotage everything about him. Then
she did. She went over, didn't she, to his girl and went, he's fucking fake. Oh, yeah, he's fake. Just because he said he wasn't attracted to her and he was up front. She was after his money. Obviously, Madeline's his girlfriend at the time. She's after his money, exactly what you said. She's after this lifestyle. So you can tell he's a successful guy. He'd already said it. It was just weird. And it was literally within about 30 seconds, talk about somebody scorned Dave in a relationship. It was just like, right, well, I'm burning everything down of yours just because you didn't find me attractive. And that's her being a narcissist as well. I was like, wow, you have a high opinion of yourself. You don't always fancy everyone you see, Dave, no matter how pretty they are. Do you know what I mean? Weird girl. But again, great TV, Dave. Fucking brilliant. I was in on this straight away because Colby, he'd gone in and it was Lauren who he liked, didn't he, with the tattoos? They had a real good connection as well. And that's why he wasn't interested in Alexis. He had a really, really good connection with her. At the time, obviously, I know later on things could change, but at this point in the series, the first couple of episodes, I was thinking Colby seems like a really nice guy.
I don't know. I think he's a bit of a prick. I honestly think he's a tool. I think he's going on to the girl with the tattoos, so Lauren, and he's going on about Lauren is 30. She doesn't want kids, and that is the biggest fundamental issue between her and Nate. She doesn't want kids. He wants to have kids, and Colby is like, I'll help you through this. In other words, I'll indoctrinate you to my way of thinking and everything will be fine. I'll be your knight in shining armor. It's like, no, you're tall. Maybe she just doesn't fucking want kids. Maybe that's the start, middle, and end of it. I just thought he was like smug, Chris. I think that is the biggest, or not biggest word, but the most poignant word that comes to my mind with Colby. I just think he's so smug.
Yeah, he is. Well, look, he had the cowboy hat, and as it went into the third and fourth episode, he did come out of himself a bit more, didn't he? So he was there. But at this point, Dave, I didn't have any reason to doubt him. It looked like he was getting a bit of a rough ride. Because to be fair, I didn't like Madeline. I thought Dave the ink wasn't even dry on the contracts of this show. And as soon as she walked in, she went, "I'll have Randall." And that was it. She was like, well, I don't see anything wrong with exploring it. I don't care. And I didn't like her. As this goes on, she was shit stirring. She was causing trouble. She has no filter. Perfect reality TV contestant again. Not as harsh as Alexis, but I do think that Madeline was just there. She's just there for the party, Dave. I don't even know whether her and Colby are even together, to be honest, because it just seemed by the end of the episodes, I was thinking these fuckers have never even done anything about each other. I didn't believe any of it because she was just up for anything, to be honest.
Yeah, and she was a bit of a dick as well, wasn't she? I think. But I mean, at least you could say she was fueled by alcohol. You could see. There's the night out. Is at the end of episode 4, I think, isn't it? And she's just hammered. And no, it's episode 3, I think. And she's just really rubbing it in with Shanique about kissing Randall. And I thought that was where she was way over the line. It's like, don't be a fucking prick. But you could see it in her eyes. She was like wobbling when she's trying to talk to the PT and stuff, that she's hammered. And I'm like, yeah, it's much better when they ply them with alcohol. But I do think that, Randall, to me, Randall comes off like a really nice guy. I think him and Madeline do have some kind of connection. But Chris, she just wants to fucking shag him.
Yeah, she does.
That's it. And I don't think anything will happen there. I think he's, he sees it for what it is, and I think he'll end up going back with Shanique.
Yeah, I think so. I think as well, Dave. I'd say one of the people who stood out for me is April. So when we get to the dinner table in the end of the second episode, and they're all, this is where they've got to pick, haven't they? They've got to pick everyone. And, she's had made a bit of a play. She's been dead open. She's talked to like Colby. She's talked to a few of the other guys. Nate as well has had a chat with her and that. And then obviously Jake picks Ray, and you can see she's shitting it and that. And then she does this big speech, doesn't she, to everyone, and really lays it on the line. Really good, but she ends up being like second pick, and then Colby gets ditched because he picks Lauren. Well, sorry, let's talk about the first one. So sorry. So Alexis is kicking off, and she's scorned. She hasn't really got anywhere to go. And then all of a sudden, Hunter just goes, did you think he's going to pick April? Hunter just goes, I want to marry Alexis. And I'm going, you fucking dick. You absolute dick. You fucking absolute doormat. You're going to have a life of hell with this woman. And he gets down and fucking proposes, Dave. I was like, oh my God, this is fantastic.
It was bizarre, wasn't it? Because literally just a week or however long it was, it didn't look like it was very long at all, of just the idea of maybe she might go and shack up with someone else was enough for Hunter. And it's like, well, you sort of wasted everyone's time there. But it would have been interesting to see who Alexis ended up with, because I think she'd have drove them crazy. I think she'd be brilliant reality TV, to be honest. She'd fit on one of your Housewives of X programs, I'm sure, Chris, to be honest. But I felt a bit shortchanged there, because I was expecting her to create some drama. And I was like, well, you haven't resolved anything there. But then it sort of gets worse then, doesn't it? Because when Colby does pick Lauren, fucking Nate springs into action. And he's like, yeah, I want to marry Lauren. And she's like, yeah, the whole kids thing, let's not worry about that, And again, it's like, what the fuck? You can see at that point, the producers are like, shit. We've got a dud on our hands here. Everyone's going to end up going back. We're not going to have a fucking show to run. But I thought that was interesting, and I'm not sure if that's where you were going with it, but that's when April sort of, pipes up and she's only 23, but says things that are quite mature about, well, you haven't resolved anything, and you've come into this process. It hurts, obviously, but you got to kind of go through the process and resolve your issues. Again, I say it's mature. She's still thinking, Chris, that a reality TV show is going to cure all their relationship ills, but no, it was more mature than the fucking bloke springing up, and it's like, no, you can't have her. Marry me.
Oh, I loved it. I know, because the Hunter and Alexis one, whatever you think, Hunter had done nothing wrong. He seemed really stand-up guy. Complete mistake, in my opinion, Dave, from what we'd seen on these 2 episodes. But we went with it when Nate bottled it, because Colby had a good connection with Lauren. Whatever we think, what they did together was good. They were touchy-feely and everything. There was something there. As soon, because what made it worse for Nate, he was an absolute fucking scumbag for me. He told Madeline, I'm going to pick you. And I was thinking, where's that come from? What's going on here? And this is before anybody had picked anyone, before Hunter had proposed to Alexis. He was like, I'm going to pick you. And she's like, what? Don't be stupid. I know you're joking. And then as soon as he bottle went, he was like, well, sorry to steal your thunder, but will you marry me? And Lauren had all these discussions with Colby about like not being sure, she didn't want to do this, didn't want to. Yeah, like you said, forget about all the issues we've had. He's going to give me a fucking diamond ring, so fuck that, let's go. And then what made that worse was two completely contrasting proposals. Was fucking everyone was cringing. Everyone was like, oh my God, what the fuck? Is this real? Is this a piss take? Like what? Nobody believed it. And Madeline even had a go at him and said, you told me a minute ago that you, and I love that. I must admit that. Saying no filter. That's
Called
when I
out.
thought she was good because she called. And Nate's like, well, she said, yes, actually, if you don't mind, leave me alone. I thought he was a slime ball, to be honest, Dave. And I think Lauren can do so much better. The way he panicked was TV gold. It was brilliant.
Yeah. No, like you say, it was ridiculous, wasn't it? Because he literally told Lauren, I'm going to pick you. And then something switches in his brain and he thinks, no, I'm going to, I guess, now that he knows after the first one went, that was probably it, wasn't it? When Hunter and Alexis went, he's like, all right, I didn't even think this was an option. Right. Fuck it then. I've got a lot more to lose than I have to gain at this point. So, but I don't understand her reaction, to be honest, to just put aside all the kind of differences about wanting children and stuff. It's like, well, neither of you, I can't see her changing her mind. And so, confusing one for me, Chris.
Yeah.
And, I was wondering at that point whether there was going to be a show to see it out with.
The one other thing as well is when Colby ended up with April basically by proxy because there's fucking nobody else to have.
Yeah.
And, Alexis has just been proposed to. This is supposed to be this big life-changing experience. She's supposed to be happy. Nothing can temper that fucking mood. No, she's still getting digs in about Colby because he fucking binned her off. He's not a good person in. I wouldn't bother. And I'm just like, let it fucking go. You've got what you wanted.
She just wouldn't let it go, would she?
Brilliant. Fucking brilliant.
She's probably still sat at home now watching it, seething. Like, he's a fucking prick. What do you mean, don't find me attractive?
And then the last episode, because of what happened here, we basically got a full episode on Ray and Jake and Madeline and Randall, didn't we? Shanique and Jay, there was a few bits about where there was sleeping arrangements and stuff like that. But it didn't hit the heights of the third episode. It was more like a Bachelor style episode. We had this sort of, Ray and Jake went to meet her dad, who's a racing driver. They had a meal together and all that. And it was a bit, I thought that was a bit of a lull, really, Dave. I felt as if we could have had that before. I know we couldn't because of the dynamic of the show, but it'd have been better if they put the proposal thing in on the fourth episode. I know he's not like releasing them in 4 episodes and all that, but I felt that was a real lull compared to the first 3 episodes were gold for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the fact that we said we'd watch 1 to 4 is just borderline arbitrary because going through Love Is Blind, it was just too plodding. We weren't getting through it quick enough. So maybe we've watched the first chapter in the next kind of batch of episodes, if you like, the way it's produced and they've put the storylines together. But I mean, it was the girls and guys night out, wasn't it? So I felt like the first half of it, it was quite good. And I had to say, I think Ray and what's his name? Jake. I do think that there's a genuine connection there. Yeah. And I think, if you're looking at where the bets are, where do you think the new relationships might actually survive? I think Jake and Ray have got as good a chance as any.
I think so. I like Shanique as well, Dave, with Zay. I think Shanique could get the best out of him, but I don't know whether they'll be together as a couple at the end of it. But I really like Shanique. I think she's really pretty as well. I think there's something there between them. I just think, even like you said, Madeline and Randall, as much as I'm not a big fan of Madeline, and again, I thought she was a bitch at the end of it. She was fucking wasted by the end of the meal. I don't give a fuck. And she's stumbling away. But she was proper rude to everyone. But I think that's the whole point of her being on the show. She doesn't care. She was stirring it up. The guys, there was a conversation where obviously April was talking and she's with Jake, before the show. And it was just sort of, and she was talking about like that Jake had kissed Ray and everything. And she was dead open about it. And then she gets upset, which I think you would do anyway. It doesn't matter who you are. You're still going to be upset about that. So I'll see how that one plays out. But yeah, I think the end of him was stronger than the sort of lovey-dovey bachelor shit we got for nearly half of the episode. I think it ended better than it started, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and like I said before, I think it's just when you've got drunk Madeline slurring into the camera, it's like, oh yeah, this is what we want. Really stir the shit. So... but no, I mean, any of the other couples that you think might actually make it with the new setup?
Not at the moment, not yet. I couldn't say. I don't think Colby and April are going to go anywhere, Dave.
No,
I think they'll just end up sort of bitching about everybody else by the looks of it. And will they bring other couples in? Because we're down to the bare bones now. The 4 that have got married, unless you know, what I mean, they're obviously gone. So or they're getting married. So I don't know how that's going to play out. Maybe that's why we had a longer sort of concentration on the couples that are left. So instead of 6 couples, we've only got 4 now. So maybe that's why. So I don't know.
Could be. I mean, with maths, they draft them in, don't they? If people are leaving and what have you, but I don't know. I think though this cast is brilliant. I think there's so many different personalities and different clashes and everything, and the fact that you know that, like say, it's not like Temptation Island where they're over in different parts of the island and can't see each other. You know, they're getting it from all angles. They can talk together. They can talk to their new partners. It creates a whole new dynamic, which I don't think we've seen in these shows before.
No. And brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So let's see, Dave. So another amazing show. I'm so glad we're covering this, mate. Absolutely brilliant. And thank you for this. And we will be back, guys. We'll get this one boxed off a lot quicker than we did with Love is Blind and that, won't we, Dave? So let's get this one rocking. So if you do want to support us, guys, get us a Patreon, patreon.com/CDRealitycast. If you want to email us, cdrealitycast@gmail.com. And as always, get us a social media @CDRealitycast. So today's roll call of honor for this amazing episode is Kent Gustafson, Lucky Lulu Green, Lauren Hennessy, Susan, Priscilla, Dee Dee, Katie, Helen, Joanna, Zoe, Noreen, Brianna, Helen, and Keith. So thank you so much for all your support, guys. We really, really appreciate it. It's always humbling every time we read these out because it's just amazing people want to support us. And Mr. Horrocks, I love the fact that we're covering this, my friend. So I bid you adieu.
Thank you very much, sir. And thank you to all you guys out there who support us and listen to us and are coming along with us on this next one. So we'll look at the episodes 5 through to 8 in the next recap that we do, or just chewing the fat about them. And we'll speak to you next time.
Bye.